Imagine this. Sarah, a 27-year-old from Brazil, had always struggled with English. She studied it in school, attended courses, and tried every app she could find. But despite all the learning tools and resources, whenever she was in a real-life conversation with a native speaker, she would freeze. Her mind went blank, and the words she had spent hours memorizing just wouldn't come out. It was as if she knew the language in her head but couldn't express it with her voice. One day, Sarah had an important job interview with a multinational company. It was her dream job, and she had prepared tirelessly. But when the interviewer switched to English, everything fell apart. Sarah struggled to express herself clearly, hesitated between sentences, and left the interview feeling defeated. She thought to herself, "I'm never going to be fluent. How can I ever communicate confidently in English?" That night, lying in bed, she made a decision. Something had to change. She set a clear goal for herself. Within a year, she would become fluent in English. Fast forward 1 year later, and Sarah is now leading meetings in English, giving presentations at work, and even making friends from all over the world with ease. The transformation was nothing short of remarkable. How did she do it? That's what this video is all about. Sharing Sarah's exact steps, tips, and tricks to fluency so you can follow her lead and improve your own English skills. Before we dive into Sarah's journey and the actionable tips she used to achieve fluency, be sure to hit that subscribe button and join our community at SpeakWell Academy. We share real stories like this, along with proven strategies to help you become confident in your English skills. Don't forget to click the notification bell so you'll never miss a video that can help transform the way you speak and learn English. Setting a clear goal. The first key to Sarah's success was setting a clear and specific goal. Most people say, "I want to speak English fluently," but that's too vague. What does fluency mean to you? Do you want to hold conversations with native speakers? Do you want to pass an English exam or improve your professional communication skills? Sarah realized that having a specific goal is like having a roadmap. It shows you exactly where you want to go. Her goal was clear. In 1 year, I want to speak English confidently enough to hold conversations for at least 10 minutes with a native speaker, without hesitation. This gave her something to aim for, something tangible. She could measure her progress against this goal and adjust her strategy as needed. Tip number 1. Define your goal clearly. Whether it's acing a job interview, having casual conversations, or giving a presentation at work, knowing what you're working toward makes the process much easier. But Sarah didn't stop there. She broke down her goal into smaller, manageable milestones. She started by focusing on improving her listening skills for the first month. Then she worked on speaking simple sentences, followed by more complex conversations. This gradual approach made her feel less overwhelmed and gave her the motivation to keep going, even when things got tough. Tip number 2. Break your big goal into smaller tasks. You'll build confidence with each step, and those small wins will keep you motivated. Daily consistent practice. Sarah knew that in order to reach her goal, she needed to practice consistently. But here's the trick. She didn't have hours every day to dedicate to studying English. Like many of us, she had a busy job, family commitments, and other responsibilities. So instead of overwhelming herself with long study sessions, she made a pact with herself to practice for at least 30 minutes every day. Some days, she only had 10 minutes. Other days, she had an hour. But the key was making sure she practiced every single day. Consistency is crucial when it comes to learning a language. You don't have to study for hours at a time, but you do need to immerse yourself in the language regularly. Sarah started integrating English into her daily routine. During her commute to work, she would listen to podcasts or audiobooks in English. When cooking or doing household chores, she'd play English language YouTube videos in the background. This way, even when she wasn't actively studying, her brain was constantly being exposed to the language. Tip number 3. Find small pockets of time in your day to practice. It could be during your commute, while exercising, or even while doing simple tasks at home. The more frequently you expose yourself to English, the more natural it will start to feel. Another important part of Sarah's strategy was the way she practiced. She didn't just stick to one method. She mixed it up. One day, she would focus on listening comprehension by watching an episode of her favorite English TV show. The next day, she would practice speaking by repeating sentences out loud from a podcast. This variety kept things interesting and engaged different parts of her brain, making her learning experience more effective. Tip number 4. Keep your practice sessions diverse. Don't just rely on one resource. Mix listening, reading, speaking, and writing activities to improve different skills and keep the process exciting. Immersion and listening. Listening comprehension was one of Sarah's biggest challenges. Native speakers often talk quickly, use slang, and sometimes mumble, making it hard for learners to keep up. At first, Sarah could only catch a few words in conversations or TV shows. This made her feel discouraged, but she didn't let it stop her. Instead, she turned listening practice into a daily habit. One of her most powerful techniques was watching her favorite movies and TV shows in English. She started with subtitles, but soon challenged herself to watch without them. The trick here wasn't to understand every single word. At first, that's impossible. Instead, she focused on understanding the general meaning of the conversations. Over time, she started to recognize more words and phrases, and her understanding improved. Sarah also discovered the power of podcasts. Unlike movies and TV shows, podcasts feature real, everyday conversations on a variety of topics. She would listen to them during her morning walks or while getting ready for work. The constant exposure to natural, conversational English trained her brain to process the language more quickly and efficiently. Tip number 5. Immerse yourself in the language as much as possible. Watch shows, listen to podcasts, and even set your phone or social media accounts to English. The more you immerse yourself, the faster your brain will adapt to the language. Listening to natural speech also helped Sarah with pronunciation and sentence structure. She began mimicking the way native speakers pronounced certain words or phrases, helping her sound more fluent when she spoke. Tip number 6. Practice shadowing. This involves listening to a native speaker and then repeating what they say, trying to mimic their accent, rhythm, and pronunciation. It's an incredibly effective way to improve your speaking skills. Speaking confidently. Finding a partner. Sarah knew that speaking confidently was one of the hardest parts of learning a language, but it was also the most important. It's one thing to understand the language, but being able to express your thoughts and hold a conversation is an entirely different challenge. At first, Sarah was nervous about speaking. She was afraid of making mistakes and being judged. But then, she learned a valuable lesson. Mistakes are part of the learning process. The more you make, the more you learn. So, instead of avoiding conversations, she started looking for opportunities to practice speaking. One of the best things Sarah did was finding a language exchange partner. Using apps like HelloTalk and Tandem, she connected with native English speakers who wanted to learn Portuguese. They would meet online once a week for a language exchange. Sarah would teach them Portuguese for 30 minutes, and they would teach her English for the next 30 minutes. The first few conversations were awkward. Sarah made mistakes, struggled to find the right words, and often felt embarrassed. But her language partner was patient and encouraging, reminding her that it's okay to stumble. Everyone does it first. Tip number 7. Find someone to practice speaking with, whether it's a friend, colleague, or language exchange partner online. Speaking regularly, even if you're nervous, is essential to gaining fluency. Soon enough, Sarah's confidence grew. What started as short, hesitant conversations blossomed into longer, more fluid discussions. She realized that the more she practiced, the easier it became. Conversations felt more natural, and she stopped overthinking every word. Tip number 8. Focus on communicating, not perfection. The goal is to get your point across, not to have flawless grammar in every sentence. Fluency comes from practice, not perfection. Tracking progress and staying motivated. One of the most important steps in Sarah's journey was learning to track her progress. Language learning isn't a straight line. It's filled with ups and downs. Some days, it feels like you're making huge leaps forward, and other days, it feels like you're stuck in the same place. To stay motivated, Sarah began recording herself speaking English once a month. She would pick a topic, like talking about her day, a favorite hobby, or her thoughts on a news story, and record a short video. At first, she hated watching the videos. She was self-conscious about her accent and the mistakes she made. But over time, she noticed something incredible. When she compared her latest video to the ones from a few months earlier, she could clearly see how much progress she had made. Her sentences flowed more naturally, her vocabulary had expanded, and she sounded more confident. This visual proof of improvement was a huge motivation for her to keep going. Tip number 9. Track your progress. Whether it's by recording yourself, writing in a journal, or noting new words you've learned, tracking your progress helps you stay motivated and aware of how far you've come. Sarah also learned to celebrate her small victories. Too often, language learners focus only on the end goal, fluency, and forget to celebrate the milestones along the way. But each small win is worth recognizing. Whether it's understanding a full conversation without asking for clarification, pronouncing a difficult word correctly, or using a new phrase in a conversation, these moments remind you that you're moving forward. Tip number 10. Celebrate your progress. Every small victory counts, and it will keep you motivated on tough days. After a year of consistent effort, Sarah reached her goal. She was fluent in English, confidently holding conversations with native speakers, leading meetings at work, and even making new friends from around the world. What once seemed impossible had become her reality. But the biggest lesson Sarah learned was that fluency doesn't happen overnight. It's a journey that requires persistence, practice, and patience. If you want to become fluent in English, remember Sarah's steps. Set a clear goal, practice consistently, immerse yourself in the language, find a language partner, track your progress, and celebrate your wins along the way. Thank you so much for watching. If Sarah's story inspired you, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to SpeakWell Academy for more tips and tricks on improving your English. Leave a comment below and let me know. What's your biggest challenge in learning English, and how are you planning to overcome it? Fluency is a journey, but with determination and the right strategy, you'll get there.